All right, thank you guys. Happy Tuesday morning to you. We are 3-0 in our last three college basketball tier package picks on brockpage.com. And if you want to access today's college basketball tier package pick, the link for that play is in the description section below. $1,000 bettors are up over $2,700 during that span. And as always, guys, all the picks that I give out on my website, they're my personal plays, games that I personally have action on. We have packages beginning at just $1.99. And with that, guys, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to the video. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you find yourself enjoying this video here today, please feel free to give it a thumbs up by smashing that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free to hit that subscribe button as well. I'd love to connect with you on a daily basis. And with that, guys, a pretty big slate here today. A lot of really good games. So let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to start with Michigan State taking on Penn State. That's going to be a 6:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Now, Michigan State is -2.5 in Happy Valley with the total at 129. Now, the Spartans got the W in 5 out of their last 7 road games, and they're amongst the better defensive road teams in the Big Ten. As a matter of fact, Sparty's currently in the top 15 in the nation in defensive boards per game when traveling. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Gabe Brown is averaging over a dozen points a game and drills 91% of his free throws. Meanwhile, Malik Hall, he's making over 53% of his three-pointers. He's also averaging 10.5 points a game. This guy has been virtually automatic from three land. And of course, speaking of three balls, the Spartans are currently in the top 15 in the country in shooting from beyond the arc. They're taking on a Penn State team who's on a 3-game losing streak, and they also dropped 6 out of their last 7. Now, Penn State's biggest issue is their offensive production. They're actually scoring only 65 points a game. They find themselves 3 games below 500. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Penn State's last 5 got over the line. They also saw overs recently with the likes of Minnesota, Iowa, and Indiana. Meanwhile, Michigan State, on the other side of things, they saw 4 out of their last 7 get over the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Michigan State -2.5 in the over 129. Next ball game, it is going to be Memphis versus Tennessee, and that is going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Not on our big screen, but anyway, Memphis is -3 with the total at 142.5. But despite being favored on the road here, the Tigers lost 5 out of their last 8 away from home. And the Tigers are also allowing 72 points a game when they travel. They're taking on a Cincinnati team who's 11-3 straight up in the Fifth Third Arena, and they're limiting their competition to just 61 points a game there. Now, equally as impressive, this Bearcat defensive effort is limiting their competition to just 38% shooting from the field at home. These guys have been very good on the defensive end of the court this season. Now, scoring-wise, David DeJulius is averaging over 14.5 points per contest, along with 2 boards and a couple assists. Meanwhile, Jeremiah Davenport, he's scoring over 13 points a game himself, along with 5 rebounds. Now, when it comes to head-to-head meetings in this one, Cincinnati got the W in 7 out of their last 10 games against Memphis. When it comes to the total, the Bearcats saw their last 3 straight get over the line. They're also 6-3 to the over in their last 9. Meanwhile, Memphis saw overs recently with Tulane, UCF, and Tulsa. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Cincinnati Bearcats +3 and the over 142.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Texas versus Oklahoma, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Texas Longhorns are -1 on the road. Total's 124.5. And speaking of the total in this one, the Longhorns saw unders recently with Iowa State, Tennessee, and Oklahoma State. They're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 meetings with the Sooners. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. And speaking of Oklahoma, they saw 2 out of their last 3 fall under the line themselves. Now, the Sooners also went 60% to the under in their last 10. And when it comes to picking a winner in this one, this game's actually being featured as my extra daily pick on BrockPage.com. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, the link for that play is in the description section below. It's only going to cost you just $2.99. So if you want to see whether I like the Sooners at home here, or if I like the Longhorns laying the point on the road, there's only one way to find out, and that's to sign up for my college basketball tier package. I'm sorry, not my college basketball. My extra daily pick on BrockPage.com. Once again, that is the $2.99 package. But as far as making a free pick goes for this ball game, I'm going to lean toward the under 124.5 in that contest. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Villanova versus Providence, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Villanova is -4.5 with the total at 132. But despite being favored by a couple of buckets in this one, the Wildcats have struggled covering the point spread here recently. They actually failed to cover in their last 2 straight, and they also went just 2-6 against the spread in their last 8. Now, the Wildcats have also struggled a bit offensively when traveling this year. They're scoring only 69 points a game on the road, and they're shooting just 40% from the field in that very same category. Now, they're taking on a Providence team. I'll tell you what, these guys have been really good in the first half of the season here. They're actually on an 8-game winning streak right now, and they find themselves undefeated at home through 14 ball games. Nate Watson is averaging over 13.5 points per contest, along with 5 rebounds. Meanwhile, Jared Bynum is drilling 46% of his three-pointers and also scores 11 points a game. Now, when it comes to defensive play in this one, the Friars allow only 64 points per contest, and they're limiting their competition to just 40% shooting from the field. Now, total-wise, Providence saw 3 out of their last 5 fall under the line. They're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 meetings with Villanova. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. Meanwhile, the Wildcats saw unders recently with St. John's, DePaul, and Xavier. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Providence Friars plus 4.5 and the under 132. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Colorado versus Oregon State. And that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Unfortunately, that game is not on the big screen. But anyway, Colorado's -4 with the total at 137.5. Now, the Buffs allow only 66 points a game defensively, and they're also limiting their competition to just 32% shooting from three-land. Now, when it comes to offensive production, Jabari Walker, he's averaging over 14 points a game, along with 9 boards. Meanwhile, Evan Batty, he's making 47% of his 3 balls. He's also scoring 11.5 points a game. They're taking on an Oregon State team who lost their last 9 straight. And they actually have just 3 wins overall for the entire season. Now, the Beavs are allowing 75 points a game, and they also have a pretty tough time guarding the field goal. Now, one more thing to add here, Oregon State, they have a slew of guys on the injury report here today as well. When it comes to the total in this one, the Beavers are 10-2 to the over in front of their home fans. They also went 80% to the over in their last 10 ball games at any location. Meanwhile, Colorado saw overs recently with Utah, UCLA, and this very Oregon State team. I'm going to lean toward Colorado -4 and the over 137.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Kentucky versus Tennessee. And that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Tennessee's -1.5 with the total at 140. Now, the Vols won their last 4 straight. They also find themselves 13-1 straight up at the Thompson Bowling Arena. Now, the Vols are allowing only 59 points a game in front of their home crowd. And they're also limiting their competition to just 39% shooting from the field there. These guys have been nearly impossible to score against when they're on their home court. Now, scoring-wise, when it comes to offensive production, Santiago Vescovi is drilling 40% of his three-pointers. He's also scoring over 13.5 points a game. Meanwhile, Kennedy Chandler, he's averaging over 13 points a game himself, along with 3 boards and 4 assists. Now, they're taking on a Kentucky team who struggles shooting from the stripe on the road. As a matter of fact, the Wildcats are making only 67% of their foul shots away from home. When it comes to the injury report, Frederick is still out for Kentucky. Toppin and Washington are also questionable. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, Kentucky saw 3 out of their last 5 fall under the line. They're also 75% to the under on the road this year. Meanwhile, the Volunteers saw unders recently with Mississippi State, Texas, and LSU. I'm going to lean toward Tennessee, -1.5, and the under 140. Next ball game, it is going to be Wisconsin versus Indiana. That's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. The Indiana Hoosiers are -3, totals 131.5. But despite being favored by 3 in this one, the Hoosiers are on a 3-game losing streak, and they failed to cover in 6 out of their last 9. Now, Indiana's also struggled with Wisconsin in recent meetings. They're just 1-9 straight up in their last 10 with the Badgers, and they failed to cover 7 times during that span. Now, they're taking on a Wisconsin team who won 7 out of their last 10 ball games themselves, and they're also winning 82% of their contests away from home. Johnny Davis is scoring over 20 points a game, along with 8 boards and a couple assists. Meanwhile, Brad Davison, he's scoring 14 points per contest himself, along with 4 boards and a couple assists as well. Those guys have been top performers on the offensive end of the court. Now, when it comes to defensive play in this one, Wisconsin's actually limiting their competition to just 67 points a game when they travel. When it comes to the total in this one, Wisconsin went 4-2 to the under in their last 6 outings. Meanwhile, Indiana saw 6 out of their last 10 fall under the line themselves. Now, ironically, the Hoosiers are also 60% to the under at Assembly Hall. I'm going to lean toward Wisconsin +3 and the under 131.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Iowa State versus TCU, and that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Now, TCU is -3 with the total at 125. And speaking of the total in this one, the Horned Frogs saw their last 6 straight ball games all get over the posted number. I know this total here is very low, but we've seen a lot of overs with TCU. They're also 70% to the over in their last 10 meetings against Iowa State. And speaking of the Cyclones, they saw overs recently with the likes of Kansas State, West Virginia, and Oklahoma State. They also find themselves 5-4 to the over in their last 9 outings at any location. And when it comes to picking a winner in this one, this game's being featured as my college basketball tier package pick on BrockPage.com. And the link for today's college basketball tier package pick is in the description section below. Now, we're currently 3-0 in our last 3 picks in that package. So if you want to see whether I like the Horned Frogs laying the bucket at home, or if I like Iowa State catching the 3 while traveling, there's only one way to find out, and that's to sign up for my college basketball tier package pick on BrockPage.com. But as far as making a free pick goes for this contest here, I'm going to lean toward the over 125 in that ball game. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my website at BrockPage.com, where we are currently 3-0 in our last 3 college basketball tier package picks. Let's go ahead and get into it. I like Michigan State -2.5 over 129. I also like the Cincinnati Bearcats +3 and the over 142 and a hook. Give me the under 124.5 in the Texas-Oklahoma game. I also like Providence +4.5 and the under 132. Give me Colorado -4 and the over 137.5. I like Tennessee -1.5 and the under 140. Give me Wisconsin +3, under 131.5. I also like the over 125 in the Iowa State TCU game. And as far as all the other games go across this great nation, I'm going to lean toward Duke -10, over 149.5. Ohio State -13, under 137 and a hook. Missouri +8, under 138. Wyoming Cowboys -6, over 154.5. Western Michigan +9, under 128 and a hook. Give me Longwood -8, under 135.5. I like Toledo -8, over 146. Bowling Green +5 over 164. I like Florida State -1.5 under 136 and a hook. Give me Central Michigan +2 and the over 146. I also like Texas A&M -1 under 134 and a half. Give me Elon +7 over 142 and a hook. St. Peter's +5 under 134 and a half. North Florida +9 under 137. Sacred Heart -1 under 130. Ohio Bobcats -10 and a half over 143. Ball State -8 and a half over 146. Ole Miss -3 under 135 and a half. USF South Florida Bulls +4 under 129 and a half. Fordham +9 under 124 and a hook. Bradley +1 under 124. Missouri State -12 over 143. Georgia Tech -1.5 over 141. Northern Iowa -4 over 143 and a half. DePaul -3 under 131 and a hook. UC Irvine -5 under 134. San Diego State -5 under 129. And with my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean towards San Jose State +15 and the under 143. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on BrockPage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on my website, you're going to get access to those picks all the way through the end of February. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single pick that I give out on that website, you're going to want to think about signing up for my board member tier package. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at BrockPage.com.